5 months. That's all that separates Los Angeles from the biggest sporting event it has hosted in 32 years. On June 12, 2026, the United States men's national team will walk onto the field at SoFi Stadium to face Paraguay. 70,000 people will be watching from the stands, billions more from every corner of the planet. This is not just a soccer match. This is a test of whether a city that promised the world its best face can actually deliver it. Los Angeles last hosted the World Cup in 1994. That tournament changed American soccer forever. The Rose Bowl final between Brazil and Italy drew over 94,000 fans. The images went global. A nation that barely understood the sport suddenly fell in love with it. But that was a different Los Angeles, a city before the wildfires, before the insurance crisis, before Hollywood started bleeding jobs, before 72,000 people were sleeping on its streets. 32 years later, the world is coming back, and Los Angeles scrambling not to build stadiums. SoFi's already here, a $5.5 billion palace of glass and steel, arguably the most expensive sports venue ever constructed. The scramble is for everything else. The trains that don't reach the stadium, the airport connection that might not open in time, the buses that need to move hundreds of thousands of people who have never navigated this city before. The scramble is to answer a question that city officials don't want anyone to ask out loud. Is Los Angeles actually ready? Here is what the marketing brochures don't tell you. SoFi Stadium has no direct rail connection in a city defined by traffic, in a region that spent 15 years expanding its metro system. The crown jewel of Los Angeles sports sits in Inglewood with no subway station anywhere near it. Think about that for a moment. London built rail lines to every major Olympic venue in 2012. Tokyo connected its stadiums with surgical precision. Even Qatar, building a World Cup in the desert, constructed an entire metro system from scratch. Los Angeles built a $5.5 billion stadium accessible only by shuttle bus. The plan for 2026 is simple. In theory, fans will take the Metro C line or K line to the LAX Metro Transit Center. From there, they will board shuttle buses that ferry them the final few miles to the stadium. Metro's requesting $25 million in federal funding to deploy 330 additional buses during the tournament. These buses will run alongside services from Gardena Getrons, Santa Monica, Big Blue Bus, and Culver City Bus. It sounds workable, until you remember that this is the same city where a single Taylor Swift concert created gridlock for hours. The same city where an NFL Sunday turns Inglewood into a parking lot that moves at walking speed. Now multiply that by 8. Add international visitors who have never seen American traffic. Add fans from Paraguay, Iran, Belgium, Switzerland, and New Zealand, who are expecting European-level transit efficiency. The shuttle becomes the story, and everyone knows it. One transportation executive put it bluntly: the recommended metro stop is around a 2-mile walk from the stadium. For major events, shuttles take fans from the C line to the stadium. Other options require connections on buses or walks, which becomes time-consuming with traffic. This is the friction that Los Angeles has always accepted. Spectacular settings requiring navigation of frustrating complexity. But a World Cup is not a concert. A World Cup is not even the Super Bowl. A World Cup is the entire world watching to see if you can handle the moment. There was supposed to be a solution. The LAX Automated People Mover, a 2.25-mile elevated train connecting the airport terminals to the metro system and a massive new rental car facility. It was supposed to revolutionize how people arrived in Los Angeles. Land at LAX, step onto a sleek driverless train, connect directly to the metro, and ride into the city without ever touching a freeway. The project was approved in 2018. Construction began in 2019. The original opening date was March 2023. It is now January 2026. The train is still not running. The project has been delayed repeatedly, pushed back again and again due to disputes between Los Angeles World Airports and its contractor, a consortium called LAX. According to Fitch Ratings, the relationship between the city agency and the contractor has become strained to the point of dysfunction. The latest estimate, as of late 2025, is that the train might open in June 2026. The word might is doing a lot of work in that sentence. The project is now $880 million over its original budget. A Los Angeles County grand jury report found that the contractor leveraged political pressures and an inadequate dispute resolution process to extract additional payments from the city. The CEO of Los Angeles World Airports has tried to reassure the public. "We do not need the train to operate the World Cup," he said. "We will have a plan to be ready for the World Cup and welcome those fans with the excellence that they deserve, irrespective of the train." But notice what he didn't say. He didn't say the train would be ready. He said they would manage without it if necessary. Contingency plans are being drawn up. Shuttle buses from the airport to various transit hubs, expanded services on existing routes, alternative drop-off zones for rideshares and taxis. The world's most expensive airport connection might greet its first World Cup visitors as a construction site with white driverless cars sitting idle at stations, waiting for a bureaucratic dispute to resolve itself. This is not the image Los Angeles wants to project. Let's talk about what this is actually costing. FIFA estimates the 2026 World Cup will generate $17.2 billion in GDP growth for the United States and create 185,000 jobs. Los Angeles alone is projected to see $594 million in total economic impact. Those are impressive numbers, but they don't tell the whole story. A report from The Independent revealed that the 11 U.S. host cities are facing a collective shortfall of at least $250 million. The reason is a restrictive deal with FIFA that places enormous requirements on cities while offering little opportunity to recover costs. Each host city is expected to shoulder between $100 and $200 million in costs related to infrastructure, security, and logistics. FIFA requires fully equipped office space with state-of-the-art amenities, provided free of charge. And here is the critical detail most people don't understand. This is the first World Cup where there is no organizing committee in the host country. FIFA is running all aspects of the tournament itself. From new headquarters in Coral Gables, Florida, FIFA will keep essentially all revenue from the World Cup. This arrives at a particularly difficult moment for Los Angeles. The city is facing a serious budget shortfall. Programs that were planned for the World Cup, Cyclavia's arts programs, neighborhood activations may be scaled back. Metro is struggling to secure the federal funding it needs for expanded transit services, and the current federal administration has shown little enthusiasm for supporting mega-events in cities that didn't vote for it. Meanwhile, executive transportation companies are already maxed out. 5 months before kickoff, black car services and chauffeur companies are turning away seven-figure bookings because they have no capacity left. The money is coming into Los Angeles, but it's not flowing to the places that need it to make this work. Here is the number that city officials mention only in passing. 72,000. That's how many people were experiencing homelessness in Los Angeles County. As of the 2025 count, it's down 4% from the previous year. The mayor has called this progress, and in fairness, it is. But 72,000 people is still a small city of human beings living on sidewalks, in encampments, under freeway overpasses, and in the doorways of businesses. When the world arrives in June, they will see this. Not in the carefully curated zones around SoFi Stadium, not in the fan festivals and hospitality houses, but everywhere else. Downtown, Hollywood, the neighborhoods that visitors wander into looking for the real Los Angeles. Mayor Karen Bass has acknowledged the stakes directly, the costs to shops and restaurants whose customers stay away out of fear, the cost when tourists don't come to visit, the cost when offices and their employees leave downtown. I just will not accept this, and our city cannot afford to accept this. The city is pushing to move people off streets and into shelters. New programs are being implemented, resources are being deployed, but homelessness is not a problem that disappears in 5 months. It's a problem that has been building for decades. The 2026 World Cup arrives in a Los Angeles that is simultaneously the entertainment capital of the world and home to the largest unsheltered homeless population in the United States. The median home price is $1.1 million. The average monthly rent is nearly $3,000. And every day, more families slipped from housed to unhoused. This is the Los Angeles that billions of viewers will see. Not just the stadium, not just the beach, but the encampment on the corner that a Brazilian family walks past on their way to breakfast. The man sleeping in a doorway that a French journalist films while looking for color footage. Los Angeles has always been a city of contrasts. But a World Cup compresses those contrasts into a single global image, and there is no filter for that. There is another factor that nobody in the official World Cup planning documents wants to discuss: immigration. The current federal administration has taken hardline positions on border security, visa overstays, and immigration enforcement. Vice President J.D. Vance and other federal officials have made comments about World Cup tourists potentially overstaying their visas. This has not gone unnoticed internationally. Tourism economics projects that 2025 saw a 6.3% decline in international overnight travel to the United States. Some of this is economic. Some of it is the strength of the dollar, but some of it is perception. There is a question hanging over the 2026 World Cup that nobody can answer with certainty. Will international fans feel welcome? Soccer supporters travel in ways that other sports fans don't. They follow their national teams across borders. They gather in public squares and city centers. They wear their colors openly. They sing. They chant. They make themselves visible. In a political climate where visibility can feel risky, some potential visitors may decide that other destinations are easier. FIFA expects 6.5 million total attendees across the tournament. 40% of stadia attendance is expected to be international visitors. These fans typically attend a matches each and spend an average of $2,350 per person. If that number drops significantly, the economic projections collapse. Los Angeles officials are trying to strike a balance. They are emphasizing the city's diversities, its immigrant communities. Its history is a global melting pot. They are announcing programs like Casa Mexico, a hospitality house at LA Plaza de Cultura y Artes, that'll serve as Mexico's cultural hub throughout the tournament. But the messaging from the local level cannot fully override the messaging from the federal level, and international visitors are watching both. 32 years ago, Los Angeles showed the world what an American World Cup could look like. The Rose Bowl final. 94,000 fans under a blazing sun. Roberto Baggio, missing the penalty that gave Brazil its 4th title. Images that defined a generation of soccer memories. That tournament was supposed to launch American soccer into the stratosphere. And in some ways, it did. Major League Soccer launched 2 years later. Youth soccer participation exploded. The sport became embedded in American suburban life. But look closer at what 1994 actually delivered. The Rose Bowl that hosted the final is not being used in 2026. Neither is any of the 9 stadiums from that tournament. None of them met FIFA's current requirements. The World Cup came, generated its headlines, and left behind infrastructure that aged out of relevance within a generation. This is the pattern that mega events follow. The spectacle arrives. The attention focuses, and then everyone moves on, leaving the host city with whatever it managed to build. Los Angeles is betting that 2026 will be different. The investment in SoFi Stadium. The metro expansions. The LAX upgrades. These are supposed to create lasting infrastructure that serves the city long after the final whistle. The World Cup is positioned as a warm-up for the 2028 Olympics, which will be a warm-up for Los Angeles as a permanent global destination. But the 2028 Olympics are already generating their own anxieties. Cost overruns, construction delays. Questions about whether the city can actually deliver what it promised. The World Cup is now a test case. If it goes smoothly, confidence builds. If it stumbles, the doubts about 2028 multiply. This is the weight that June 12th carries. Despite everything, the show will happen. On June 12th, 2026, 70,000 people will fill SoFi Stadium. They will see the most expensive sports venue ever built, with its translucent roof and massive video board and seats that cost up to $1,200 on the secondary market. They will watch the United States play Paraguay in a match that carries the weight of host nation expectations. And for 90 minutes, none of the infrastructure problems will matter. For 90 minutes, Los Angeles will be exactly what it has always claimed to be. The city of spectacle, the place where dreams become visible. The capital of entertainment and celebrity and aspiration. The cameras will show the beautiful people. The skyline at sunset. The mix of cultures in the stands. The drama on the field. This is what Los Angeles does better than anywhere else on Earth. It creates images. It manufactures moments. It packages reality into something brighter and shinier than the original. And in those moments, nobody will be asking about the LAX People Mover. Nobody will be calculating the municipal budget shortfall. Nobody will be discussing the homeless encampment 3 miles away. The spectacle machine will be running at full power. FIFA will collect its revenue. The sponsors will get their logo placements. The media will produce its content. And Los Angeles will add another chapter to its mythology as the city where the world comes to watch. This is the transaction that World Cups have always involved. The host gives everything. The visitors consume the moment, and whatever remains afterward is left for the locals to figure out. So we are 5 months from the opening match. The stadiums are built. The schedules are set. The tickets are sold. And Los Angeles stands at a crossroads it has faced many times before. The city has always been better at projecting images than solving problems. It has always been better at building monuments than maintaining infrastructure. It has always been more comfortable with spectacle than with substance. The 2026 World Cup will not change this. No sporting event can fix a housing crisis, or repair a transit system, or heal the divisions that run through American politics. These are long-term challenges that require long-term commitment, and a 6-week soccer tournament is not a substitute for policy. But here is what the World Cup might do. It might remind Los Angeles of what it's capable of when it actually tries. In 1984, the city hosted an Olympics that was considered impossible and turned it into a model for future games. In 1994, it welcomed a World Cup that most Americans didn't understand and helped plant the seeds of a soccer culture that now spans generations. Los Angeles has a history of rising to moments. The question is whether it remembers. In 5 months, millions of visitors will arrive expecting a city that matches its reputation. They will expect smooth arrivals and efficient transportation and streets that feel safe and infrastructure that works. Some of them will find exactly that. Others will encounter the friction and chaos that locals have long accepted as the price of living in paradise. The world is coming to Los Angeles, and Los Angeles is still deciding who it wants to be when the world arrives. Maybe that's always been the real story. Not whether the trains run on time or the shuttles have enough capacity or the LAX People Mover finally opens, but whether a city that has spent decades selling a fantasy can deliver something close to reality. June 12th is coming. The countdown continues. And somewhere in Inglewood, a $5.5 billion stadium sits waiting for its moments, rounded by shuttle stops instead of train stations, in a city that promised the world and is now scrambling to deliver it. Will they pull it off? That's the question. And in 5 months, all of us will know the answer.